find that the palates are progressing with us, Bill?
Yeah, I do.
Is it a little easier these days?
I laugh. You and I have kind of been doing this for a long time together. I always say where we are in Connecticut, Fairfield County, or even Connecticut, we're kind of dead smack in the middle of New York City and Boston. So two pretty big major food cities, and here we are sitting in the middle of it, which is a great opportunity for transient food. We have, as Nick was saying, we have a really smart, intelligent clientele. Most of the clients that I think all of us service probably spend most of their week in New York City, have the opportunity to eat in New York City, are pretty well traveled, well educated, then they come home and they want to have dinner and they want us to service something and make it comfortable for them. So I think that's, we're kind of the home cooking guys, and times have changed. I keep saying, if 5 years ago I didn't have much faith in the Fairfield County food scene or even the Connecticut food scene.
It was tough.
Yeah, it was tough. It was, who's doing what and what are they trying to do? And now, this is just a small handful of the really talented people in throughout Connecticut. Forget about Fairfield County, but throughout Connecticut. So I think we're definitely in an upward arc right now.
It's a beautiful thing. I remember trying to sell quail to people, and it was like, I mean, now we're talking about heads, we're talking about tails, we're talking about innards, and they're really just, people are so excited, when it's something out of the box that you're cooking. Right, Christian?
Oh, yeah.
What do you think these days, baby? Tell us about Stamford. What about Stamford? I mean, that's a big commuter town.
I'll tell you what, Stamford is way better than my mom's basement in the Bronx. I just moved there recently, and I think it's lovely. I love Connecticut.
You still sharing a bed with your business partner, or what?
No, he actually took the condo below us, so now I have my own apartment. It's nice.
It's not bad after the third restaurant.
Yeah.
You want to get your own place.
Too bad you got a nice car now.
It's pretty okay. I miss them. We go out on the balcony and we're like, "What you doing down there, big fella?"
What's that in your hand?
Of course I have.
So I'm excited to live here. I'm even more excited to open our third place in a couple weeks. And we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. I just want to be part of the family. So it's come in for a pizza, some veggies, and hopefully we'll see you again.
So
and we make you happy.
Christian's slowly making his way into the Connecticut family, seeing that we love you like a big bear. But he was Greenwich, Barcelona, and that's, I think, when we all met him. But definitely taking the food scene up in this area and making it into a party, which is what I really think that people love to do. Pat from Barsugo, party mentality, small, tight space, loud, fun.
Oh, it's tight.
Sweet.
Definitely tight. I think all together, this is the size of my kitchen.
There you go.
Sometimes that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So how do you feel with what you're doing, trending out, getting people excited about food in this area?
I think what we're doing is a little different than some other Italian restaurants, and it's fun. It's fun. We're having a good time, and I'm actually really looking forward to having eaten at a lot of your places yet. My wife's pregnant, so we can't really go anywhere because she can't eat anything.
Right.
But I'm looking forward to Kawani. Definitely a court. I've been to 14 a bunch of times already, and I've never been to Toro, so I'm definitely looking forward to going. But yeah, I think Fairfield County is definitely on the up and coming when it comes to food. I think for a long time it's been very difficult to find somewhere to eat, and I think their biggest problem right now in Fairfield County is finding staff. To be honest with you, it's coming to that point where I don't know where everybody went.
We need cooks. Did you hear that?
That's the big advertisement right now. That was going to be the last topic, but we might as well change it now. Down in Greenwich, same problem with cooks finding in the area, really? Or?
Definitely. Staffing, especially this year for some reason, 2015, everybody I talk to said this is like the topic of the restaurants. It seems like people aren't available, especially good people. But having come on the scene last 6 years ago, for me it's been a really big accepting trip for me, because being Portuguese, it's not that mainstream of a cuisine, and to be here 6 years later, I'm opening a second restaurant in a few weeks, and people have accepted the palate, the style of cooking, so this area is definitely involved in cuisine, and from Italian to American to farm to table, there's a little bit of everything, and for me it felt like the perfect fit to come up here and blend into such a great lineup of chefs and cuisine that's available. But the staffing is definitely a challenge, I find.
Definitely. We don't Obviously, we don't pass them around too much because we hold on tight. I mean, if you look at resumes, you see, I think all of us are the same. If you see anything of quality that came out of the city, it's like, oh, I just talked to Bill, or I just talked to Nick. Okay, how much is it going to cost me? Just come on.
That's why our staffs all drive nicer cars than we do.
Exactly. So we definitely do. We're a little disadvantaged out here, but, you know, we make the best of it. So we have... you know, chats I've had earlier with Ryan from Kraft. He's actually hopefully going to join us in a minute, or Fleischers, I should call it. You know, he's bringing a lot to the table too for us out here. And how do you, you know, Bill, you're huge in the farmers market, obviously. Let's talk about the shirt you're wearing. You know, Westport Farmers Market, 10 years old now. We've all seen it grow. I saw Christian coming down from New York picking up corn from Patty. I mean, that's you opening your mouth. That's us opening our mouth. And it's, you know, it seems to be some more than others, farm to table, obviously, but you know, it's a fad that's now regular, and now, you know, where do we go from now? You know, are they producing more food for us? Go ahead, Bill. Talk about it.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I think you said it perfect. It's a fad that's kind of regular now. It is what it is. It's commonplace in food, and I think everybody sitting here at the chairs kind of have the same belief, and some people do it more than others and have more accessibility. I think Ryan at Fleischers or Kraft, you know, for me, fortunately, I have 2 restaurants that are across the street and one of them that's a mile away. And believe me, that Ryan, they'll tell you this week, I've been working at La Farm a lot this week, and I've been at Kraft probably every 2 or 3 hours, going and getting more stuff and picking up and finding bones for stock. But it's really great. Meat was always a problem in Connecticut. There's a couple cattle producers in the area. Pig is all over the place. You want a pig in Connecticut, everybody grows or raises them. It's easy enough. Chickens are slightly tough. The slaughtering behind chickens is still kind of askew. Rabbits are impossible. They still can't slaughter rabbits in the state of Connecticut properly. But beef was always a problem. And I think in particular because here in Connecticut, there's been a big push for grass-fed beef. And they still hadn't, I don't think there's anybody's really figured out the right way to feed grass finished grain to build up the fat. But having someone like Ryan and Fleischers and Kraft Butchery, they kind of do all the dirty work for us now, I think. You know, we don't carry a lot of meat at our restaurants. There's not a lot of beef product at our restaurants. We do some burgers, but his knowledge, their knowledge, what they're able to offer, I think all of us. I see Matt, you know, in and out, walking again. I'm across the street. We see Matt coming out. I see a couple other chefs walking out. I see their deliveries coming through.
I mean, the quality's insane.
It's insane, right? And the knowledge is I think what's even more important.
Definitely. Christian, what do you see? What do you see with that trend?
I think it's great. You know, I've never been. You know, I've always believed in farm to table. I try to utilize the farm stuff as much as I can. Local, all that kind of good stuff. We never really talk about it on our menu. We'd rather buy, you know, from Patty or from the farmer's market or from, you know,
just ask her to
a local pig guy. But we don't really like to talk about it. It's kind of just,
He needs a chair.
come in, eat your salad, love it.
And I think that's what's going to happen. I think, you know, as you said, it's not going to be something people need to talk about anymore. It should just be the obvious. It should be the understanding that this is the way food is. I remember years ago during, you know, this whole farm to fork movement thing, Wiley Dufresne or Dufresne, you know, from WB50 at the time, had made a comment and said, why are we praising chefs that are using really good vegetables or really good ingredients? I've been doing it for years. Yeah. So I'm doing something that's more interesting. And I think that was for me, that was an eye-opening experience of it's just the right way to do it. We don't have to praise someone for using good ingredients. We should almost help the people that aren't. So
like you
I
said,
think that's
it's
the
a
direction
fad
it's
that's
going.
turning, you know, it's the way it should be.
So luckily we have Ryan joining us.
Hey guys.
We flagged him down. Flagged him down from the other way. The magic of texting. So we're live Periscope CTBites.
Wow, what are we talking about?
We were talking about you. We were praising you and the fact that you brought us some good meat to this area. So,
But you always tell everybody to
kudos
eat
you.
vegetables.
I do. We need to eat more vegetables, less meat.
So what do you have to offer us that we're still, you know, we're craving all this fine meat and all this fine stuff. Where do you see your trend heading? Butchery, more uses for us.
We are more focused on now than we were. I mean, we've been doing this for it's our fourth year at this thing too. And I think every year we've gotten a little bit closer to our farms, a little bit better at what we do. I think the quality of the animals, how they're raised. I mean, it's almost we've gotten much more into almost like the terroir of the animals, which sounds ridiculous, but it's not. Like, it's really similar to the wine. I mean, all the flavor, whether it's beef or pig, is stored in the fat, and that all comes from what they're eating. So we've gotten a lot closer to what they're grazing on, where they're located. We really kind of just geek out on meat, which we've gotten better and better and better at, and that's going on while our butchers are just getting better and better and better at how they cut, which, you know, it'd be one thing if you just raised a beautiful animal. It's quite another if you don't know what to do with it at that point. So, you know, at my level, we're getting better at getting closer to the farms. Our butchers are getting better and better, and then just kind of explaining to people how to cook it. You know, once it leaves us, it's up to them at that point. I think we provide a lot of cuts, a lot of types of animals and types of pigs that people aren't familiar with. So it's kind of our responsibility to teach people how to cook certain cuts. So we're doing a pig demo every single year. I'm so sick of doing pig demos. So this year we're opening in Greenwich, where I'm like, we got to do something big. So we're doing a whole steer today.
Nice.
And the goal is going to be, a lot of it's going to be, you know, showing people different cuts that they're not used to seeing. You know, hopefully there's a Greenwich crowd here, because we're going to be now selling to the Greenwich crowd and teaching them what we've been teaching Westport for the last, 4 years, which is there's all these other cuts in the animal that aren't called tenderloins and ribeyes and porterhouses and things like that. There's hundreds of other cuts, and you guys do an amazing job, teaching people how to cook in your restaurants, and we're trying to teach people how to cook at home, which I think is
nice.
Going.
So Rui's got to go interview someone real quick, but before you leave, who's cooking you your all-time favorite meal?
Man, all-time favorite
Chef,
meal.
famous chef. Or not so famous chef, or your grandmother.
I do this trip to Portugal every year, where I take 20 guests from Greenwich, from the restaurant. I signed up on a food and wine tour. And for 6 days and 6 nights, we travel throughout Portugal, and we visit some vineyards and restaurants and farms and stuff. And there's a young upcoming chef there that I met, and the guy is really talented. Portuguese are big on shellfish and fish, and he makes this local tripe with some seafood that just blew me away, and I thought that was amazing. That's probably the most memorable meal I've had in a long time. So I'm going to give him the kudos overseas, but only because we stayed close. He comes over and cooks for me here. He's been here for the guest chef appearance. So that's been probably my most memorable favorite meal of last.
So when we go to Portugal, what's his name?
Pedro Lemos, Chef Pedro Lemos. Right. He's in Oporto.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
We know you got to run.
All right, we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Come on over, babe. So same question for Nick, and we'll go down the line so everybody has a little more time to think about it. Who's cooking your all-time
pizza, man?
Yeah?
I'm serious.
So you're about to die.
I remember when I was at culinary school and in a gastronomy class, they told me it was the most influential food for you, and I wanted to do a story on pizza. And I remember them saying, "You can't do that. You can't write it." They wouldn't let me write it, so I had to write a story that I don't even remember about rice. So
pizza's a food group now, right?
it is. It should be a food group. This is my family.
So
my kids.
Where's the pizza that you're eating? Where's it coming from?
I mean, there's the obvious choice. My brother down the road here. Two of them. But in the city, when I lived in the city, I used to always go to Lombardi's or Grimaldi's.
Yep,
that was the Motorino, right? Love that. Those are my favorite.
Bill?
Franny's as well, or then you go to L&B, and you got the straight out square pie with the sauce on top. L&B Spumoni Gardens. You know Spumoni Gardens, right? Been there. Oh, the old man, the old guy, DeFaris, man, DeFaris. Or you go out to Coney Island, hit the Tanadas.
Moving on, Bill. No pizza, something else, bro.
No pizza. I've given up pizza. We just had this conversation, so unfortunately. And it's not as exciting, unfortunately. It's probably either my mother or my wife's chicken schnitzel and cream lima beans. That's the dish I die with. I've been eating lima beans I was about 3 years old, and kind of the rule in my house is if you were either one dating me or a friend of mine, and you came into the house and lima beans were on the stove, you had to do it. My mother somehow, like many other mothers of ours, was able to take lima beans, flour, and water, throw them all into a pot together, and somehow have this really beautiful emulsified, perfectly cooked bean. And I don't know how she did it, because if any of my cooks ever tried to do it, it'd be broken. It would look dish soap.
Slop.
But yeah, and chicken cutlets, like with Progresso breadcrumbs. I don't know. And I don't
We've
know
all
what's
had
better.
that.
Yeah, I don't know what's better than that. Like squeeze lemon on it, lemon crumbs, and
It was
lima
either that
beans.
or pounded chicken with Italian dressing on the grill.
Yeah,
That was
it's
it.
really, really good food.
Christian?
Mashed potatoes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Straight up. Creamy butter,
I
mashed
don't care if
potatoes.
they're from a box or from Joel Robuchon. Mashed potatoes.
Those are some pretty good potatoes.
They're
from
very
Robuchon.
good.
Come on.
Pound the butter, pound the potatoes.
That's right.
Very nice.
The
We did
all-time
that at
recipe.
Beard House.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
So
They were
good.
silky.
They were silky. Soupy. It's almost potato soup.
Yeah.
Pat?
We just ate at Alvin and Harlow, Boston. That was probably one of the best meals I've ever had in my life. We did crispy kale, warm colatora, and sous vide egg. Blew my heart apart. It was absolutely epic. Very good.
Nice.
Probably him. He's super talented.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah, really good.
What are you eating?
Pork Milanese, all time. It was my mother-in-law. She got me into cooking in general. It was chicken Milanese. I said, no, pork. And we switched it over to pork, and it's the best. And anything coming from the farm, my all-time favorite.
Very nice. Sweet. Shall we continue? Or should we take a break from Periscope? Keep going. We're going to keep going.
How many hearts did we get? The producers are
Yeah, how many hearts do we have?
Is anybody out there?
How many followers?
many hearts.
Hello? Any questions from the audience out there?
Somebody was talking about fruit-filled pierogies, but I don't
Yeah,
know
we'll
what to
pass
make
on
of that. So
like Periscope.
Pass. So,
Question, Matt.
But anyway,
Yes,
we call
please.
them.
You talked about the lack of good cooks in this area. What
Yes.
do you attribute that to?
ooh. Well, here's my take on that. Number one is all the kids that are coming out of culinary school instantly want to be a chef.
Yeah.
You know, so we're losing a lot of that, and there's so many restaurants opening, and they're taking our cooks, you know, and they're making them the chef in the restaurants, and you know, so number one, the quality of the restaurants obviously go down, and you know, so all those cooks are taking their friends from our restaurants and the other restaurants, and it's just becoming this, you know, flatline area that it's impossible to find, you know. And anybody want to continue about the cooks coming in?
I think the other thing is that like there's like 900 food cities now. You know what I mean? Like Seattle, Portland, Charleston, Miami. You have Atlanta. You have Savannah, Georgia. Athens, Georgia. You have across the board Minneapolis. Everybody's opening up, you know, 3 Michelin star restaurants, and you know a lot of these kids go to CIA, French Culinary, or Johnson Wales, and then they just go back home because you can work for, you know, Sean Brock and Charleston at Husk, and you don't have to work in New York City or work in Fairfield County. I feel like a lot of these guys are just saying, you know, screw it, let's go move to Charleston, move to Atlanta. You know what I mean? Why not? I think, and like Matt said, a lot of these younger kids are, you know, I think they live on the Food Network, and I think they feel like because they graduate culinary school, they're a chef, and you know, it doesn't work that way. Unfortunately, you know, all of us, we were abused for 10 years in the kitchen, yelled at, screamed
Yes.
at, you know, called every name in the book, and I think that's why half of us were executive chefs at 25, and you know, and ready to open a restaurant at 28. You know, and it's like that young kid that's 16 and opening a restaurant in Manhattan. Like, he can cook, he can do a 3-day, you know, a 3-day stint, and it could be phenomenal food. But at the end of the day, try yelling at somebody without the kid breaking down crying. You know, it's gonna happen. You know.
So what happens nowadays when you yell at someone? Christian, do you still yell?
You get upset at them yesterday?
I get upset. I get upset. And yeah, out of maybe once every 4 months, it gets really bad. Now every 6 months, really bad for everybody. But I stopped being a yeller, and I started getting more disappointed in them, and that seems to get a lot further than yelling at
The head shake.
people. And you just look at them in the white eyes and say, "You really let me down." And at least the way I've been cultivating and managing my guys, that gets you way further than yelling at somebody. And then and you save that blow up, which they're epic when they happen. You save them, then everybody fucking stops, and they realize that they really messed up. So I haven't had a good one in over 6 months. Yeah.
I can imagine we all got pans and plates thrown at our heads. Yes, at this panel? Yes? I don't know. No, not you.
No way.
You didn't get we
throw knives and stuff, but we're not.
I remember working for Chef Hartman Henke, certified master chef. He was called like the real Hell's Kitchen back in the day. And I used to tell these stories that had nothing to do with how crazy he was. I was trying to get to a point with a story, but really the part that people really were interested in is like, I'm like, yeah, I'm running from one part of the kitchen to the other. I honestly never walked in that kitchen, not once. It's not even a lie. And I'm telling this story about how the kitchen spoon went across my face and almost caught me, but that was never the point of the story. The story was, I was talking about this dish we were making, and everyone was always like, what? The spoon? I'm like, no, but this dish was like I mean, it was just commonplace, you know? My knives weren't sharp, they were in the garbage. I'm like, where? I threw my knife in the garbage because it wasn't sharp. You know, just the way it was. You know, if you were literally, you know, and people have heard stories like this, but literally if you're leaning, crossing your legs, yeah, you got kicked, your leg got kicked out. You know, like, but it just cracks me up because really that wasn't the story. I really wanted to talk about this dish and this is how it used to be. But, I mean, who yells really much? I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm not easy to work for. I'm sure a lot of people will say that. You know, but you get tired of yelling. You don't yell anymore. I mean, what does it do? You know, I mean, every once in a while you do it, but you know, like, it doesn't do anything.
I think we've definitely changed.
Yeah,
We've come a long way.
Just you get, not because it doesn't help. You just get tired of yelling. I'll yell.
And they don't
what
react.
does it do?
They don't react the way they used to react to it. You know,
Exactly.
like we used to react. Unfortunately, does that answer your question?
Right? Now you get a manager. I need a manager. Let them yell. That's it.
That's true. One last question.
Can I ask a very non-PC question
Yeah.
if I can, and maybe you can ask this? So we live in such an the most affluent part of the country. Very well educated, people are very well off, they can spend their money anywhere they want. Why are so many people okay with this shit?
When I had it 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
And we were having a conversation about the same exact thing, and he actually, so what you said has like been embedded in my mind since then. Is Fairfield County loves mediocrity.
This is what I mean. This is what I'm getting
at.
at.
That's exactly like. You think they do though?
They're changing, and that's the beginning of this conversation. It's definitely changing.
I don't know.
So I think it's split.
Follow the money.
I think that's food in general, though. I think the food in general, a lot of people at home, they're cooking more, they know more. The Food TV network makes our job much harder. You know, there's a lot of good cooks now. Back then, there wasn't.
I just don't think. I think there's two sides to the question. Do people actually accept it? No. Is it there? Yeah, that's the problem.
Well, people are eating out at staggering levels more
They
than
go
they're
out,
cooking
right.
out, and that's a problem in itself. Like
You're right.
I like to encourage
But
people
there's
to cook
restaurants
more.
are opening too at staggering levels. I think that's a big problem.
Undoubtedly.
Saturation
That's part of the
level
problem.
is just through the roof.
Absolutely.
I mean, the town of Westport, when I opened up almost 7 years ago in Westport, there was a handful of restaurants. You couldn't open a restaurant within 1,500 feet of another restaurant or bar, and then Westport was losing business to Fairfield and to South Norwalk. To Norwalk, they were losing tax dollars to these other businesses that were building a market. And you know, the brilliant minds in Westport said, we're going to get rid of this and we're going to make it free and clear to open restaurants and more bars. And there's millions of dollars a year invested into the Westport restaurant scene. There's a handful new that have made a difference. The rest are still there. What they do, I think it goes back to the point of cooks. They take our cooks and then they take our customers. And there, you know, I worked for someone years ago, crazy as a bed bug, but she had said one thing that made sense to me in the 2 years I worked with her. And there were restaurants opening around in the area, and you know, she had said, "Man, there's so many restaurants open." I said, "Well, what do you care? We're the best restaurant in the area." I'm not worried about it. She goes to 30 asses that should be in our seats that might go to that restaurant. 20 asses may be in that restaurant, another 15 may be in that. They should all be in my room. So that's what I think is happening. I don't think people accept it. There's a lot of good restaurants in Fairfield County where people don't go to. You know, Los Poblanos in Norwalk, I went and had dinner there on Thursday. it was me and the 2 other people there on a Thursday night at 7:30, and I was heartbroken. I'm thinking to myself, look at people spending money at some of these other shithole restaurants.
But that's where it goes
what
to
we're
the
saying.
acceptance of
Look at
mediocrity.
Brasitas. Look at, I mean,
They just don't
you're
know the
opening for
difference, that's
the
the problem.
food you guys are cooking in your little spot is 10 times better than half of the restaurants that are out there right now that have been in business so long. So, do I think that some of those mediocre restaurants are slowly going to fade out? Yes. I think they're going to die with, some of the older owners, and, I think the business will
always a
ruin it a little bit more.
Yeah, always people looking
I
to
know.
throw their money.
Well,
So we
mean,
play the
there's-
number that less than 5% of the meat in this country is the type of meat that we collectively use. That 5% is more than enough for us. And I'm assuming that probably bigger than 5% for the true restaurants that are out there. But is that enough? Is 5%?
We say at the Well that we cater to 10% of the population.
Yes,
And
exactly.
I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
I'll take 12 and
I'll take 5.
be
But
flying high. So at 10% of the population is who I cater to.
Yeah.
I
Listen,
look at.
I've been doing it for 16 years. The restaurant's full, knock on wood, a lot. And it's just, Christian's got restaurant number 3 coming, and he's full pretty much all the time. You're full when New Canaan. There's, how many restaurants in New Canaan right now? I mean, there's 37, 40, 45 I heard in New Canaan.
Yeah.
It's like, you scratch your head and you're like, how are these places staying alive? Because we know how hard it is to keep these places alive, but they go.
I think
Where do they go? There's
we've
people
got
out there.
the restaurant bubble is coming, I think.
People, so I've heard that out of everybody's mouth, same thing. And I think the staff is the issue that's going to really blow it up. Because
Staying consistent. It's the hardest thing.
we're going to, say we have to get behind the line, we're eventually going to start getting burnt out ourselves and
Doing
be
it
like,
this
forget
weekend.
it, I don't want to work, How's your back?
So we should go
eat
eat
a
La
La
Farm
Farm
this
this
weekend?
If anyone was at La Farm last night after 9 o'clock, I apologize because I called the end service. Fucking we're done. And that was it. We're only serving till about 9 tonight. So that's about as much as my back can handle.
I don't think I can pull it off anymore, to be honest.
It's done. I was miserable.
36 seats, do it for 100. It hurts.
Yeah. There was a little
How
bit of
big are
yelling
you?
last night too, just so everyone knows.
Anyone else out there? In our behind-the-scenes audience, any questions coming or no? Nothing.
Comments.
So, Greenwich Food and Wine Festival, Periscope Live. We'll see you later. We're going to pull some of these guys across singly and Thanks, guys. Have fun. Have some drinks.